Hey Switchheads, Kanan here, hope you're all well and welcome to my review of DarQ, or is it just simply pronounced Dark? Kind of a 2D platformer, dreamscape type of game with puzzles in it. But has it got what it takes to make it to the Wall of Fame, or will it fail dismally in the Wall of Shame, or maybe somewhere in that middling section? But before we kick it all off, allow me to mention the community Discord where we do lots of chatting and also streaming, and you're welcome to come and join us at any time, link below. And with that, let us find out what DarQ has to offer us, and let's delve into the gameplay. And so straight from the beginning, you can tell this is not going to be an ordinary type game. In fact, you start with the bare minimum of the bare minimum. In fact, I didn't even know what the heck I was doing. You start basically by walking around your kind of apartment and then you go to sleep. And when you wake, you're in this nightmarish type environment, your actual nightmare, in fact. And obviously, it's your job to try and find your way out and to wake up, essentially. And the biggest thing that would separate this from any other platformer type puzzly game is the fact that the whole environment kind of changes for you as you walk around, defying gravity by walking up walls, pressing levers that then change things that you were walking on so they're upright so you can walk up them, walking down walls, changing the environment, different aspects so that you can see in different ways. You really have to think out of the box. There may be a cog that you need, but instead of thinking where is it around me, it might actually be up on the ceiling and you might have to just go and get it that way. If you ever forget about this mechanic during the actual game, you are confuddled. In fact, you probably wouldn't get very far, so bear that in mind as you actually play. The puzzles are all okay, nothing too taxing. In fact, I'd say it's more of a leisurely stroll through your dream rather than a nightmare, as nothing here is really that scary. Yes, there are a few jump scares, but it doesn't really come out that way. It's just noise at the end of the day that is meant to scare you, but it doesn't. That is not to say that the game isn't fun or even has any scary little bits. In fact, the monsters within the game is nicely done with kind of like the graphical light and sound combination of how they actually detect you and how you get caught by them. Now, this may sound like I don't like the game, but on the contrary, I actually do like the game. The game will last you about 2 to 3 hours, but that is a, to me, shortish game for the price that they're asking here. Luckily enough, you get both sets of DLC with the complete edition, which is the game that I'm reviewing now. Hey! As I said before, it tries to be spooky and kind of nightmarish, but it doesn't quite succeed that. Instead, you're kind of left with a kind of leisurely outing with some puzzles that aren't too taxing, but at the same time, it has that fun and different aspect with the way you actually move around the environments. There are a few creatures that kind of like slow down the whole pacing of the game, which is a bit weird, and it kind of like is almost taxing the fact that you have to wait for certain actions to be done in order for you to progress through the game. I'm trying not to show too much and say too much about certain aspects of the game because I found certain bits, including the beginning, a real surprise. In fact, I was confused as hell when I first started it and had to look up the controls. Hint, hint. Probably the only one I'll give you here. I'm not quite sure whether that says something about me or what, but you know, it was still a fun game and I thoroughly enjoyed most of what I actually played, and I haven't completed the whole game, but I do want to go on. I want to complete all the DLC, and yeah, it's fun. Graphically, I quite enjoy this look. It's kind of like dark, mysterious, but yet it's kind of like has a Addams Family type feel to it. And kind of like looking at it, I wonder if you all agree or disagree with me. Everything moves around in a nice type of way. I love the way the actual environments change and move. It is actually pretty cool. And the sound as well. It's very minimalistic, but the things that are there, like you moving around and the cogs and things like that, are very weighty. It sounds really cool, very clear, very crisp in a almost spooky-ish way. The good. I do like the environments, I do like the way it looks, and I do like the way everything changes when you move against and move around the actual world that you're in. Some of the puzzles can actually be quite cool. The bad. Some of the puzzles can be kind of really easy and not very taxing, and I don't know whether that's a good or bad thing. I came into the game thinking it was going to be like a scary game, but unfortunately it wasn't. I don't know whether that's a bad thing again. The score. Whether a bad or a good thing, I thoroughly enjoyed my time here. I'm thoroughly enjoying it and wanting to go back. And I think if the game was just on its own and that's it for the price bracket, I think I probably would have said this is a 3 out of 5. But because it's got the DLC and the longevity because of that DLC, I think for value, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. With a bit of a warning that if you're coming into this game for a horror game that you're going to get spooked at, you're probably not going to get that. But if you're coming into the game for a nice, leisurely, like fun, different type of platform puzzler with something definitely different about it, then this is probably going to do you well. My alternative is going to be Iris Fall, which is another kind of like game that uses its platforming and puzzling in different ways and its environments in different ways as well, and also was a good fun game. I played it, I reviewed it. Check out the review if you want. And so feel free to leave a comment down below, that's where it belongs, or come and join us in our Discord where we do many different streams. We also chat, we're friendly, we're nice, and we all love the Nintendo Switch as much as you. And remember, if you liked any of the content, you know what to do, because life is better when we switch together.